A while back, I made a video in which I upgraded my living room stereo and I added a tube phono preamp, which I'd always wanted. That was the Fosi Audio Box X2 tube preamp, and I made a whole video about it, and I'll stick a link up here if you want to check it out and see what my adventures were when I put that in. I was very satisfied with it, to give you a little spoiler. But I now have a second stereo in my office, and I spend a lot more time in my office than I do my living room. So the receiver I was using for my living room stereo, I no longer have it. So I have to get a second phono preamp. So what I've decided to do is move the Fosi out here to the living room, and I thought that would give me a chance to buy another, maybe a little bit higher end tube preamp for my office stereo, which is where I do most of my listening these days because I work from home, so I'm in that office 8 to 10 hours a day. So I have upgraded here to what I think and hope will be something amazing. This is the Ampapa A1 tube phono preamp. There's the A1. And today we're going to unbox this, we're going to hook it up, and we are going to see how it sounds. So I'll give you a look at the box here. It's very nice, very hard, very sturdy. And let's check it out. There's the preamp, and it looks gorgeous. It's much bigger than the old preamp, as you can see here. It has many new switches and some features that the old preamp didn't have, and I can't wait to check those out. Like the Fosi, this preamp includes a cloth to handle the tubes because you are not supposed to touch the tubes with your fingers. The oil in your fingers can apparently damage the tube, so they very kindly provide you with a nice cloth here you can use to insert the tubes. And it's very easy to connect the power and the RCA cables. And you're pretty much done. Now let's talk about features. There are a few important but substantial differences between the Ampapa and the Fosi. On my old preamp here, there is just a setting for off and then 3 separate volume settings. So you had very limited control over how loud, how strong the signal was that was being exported from the preamp into your speakers. Fortunately, the Ampapa gives us a volume knob, allowing us much greater say into the output level of our signal. In addition, the Ampapa gives us bass and treble controls, which we did not have on the Fosi. So although many speakers do have bass and treble controls, this allows us, for me, a much easier way to reach over and adjust it without having to fiddle around on the back of the speakers trying to find the bass and treble controls. Very convenient. And look, the Ampapa also offers a headphone jack, which the Fosi does not have. This looks like a headphone jack, but this is actually a line-in jack. So if you want to plug something in, you can, but you can't connect headphones to this. You can on the Ampapa. Another feature I love is, in addition to the phono in, we have a line input as well. On the Fosi, we just have phono in and the out going to the speakers. But the Ampapa gives us the ability to connect not just a phono, but also something else, such as a CD player. So although many speakers do have 2 inputs on the back for, say, turntable and CD, if you don't have those on your speakers, you can connect it through the Ampapa, and by flipping the middle switch back and forth between the left and the right position, you can toggle between line input and phono input. And I use this to do an A-B comparison between the LP and the CD version of an album I had, just to kind of spot check the comparison. And I was able to do that without having to fish out my remote control and change the inputs on my speakers. I could do it just by flipping a switch. Really loved it. And the final switch on the Ampapa is just so much fun. You have control over the color of the LEDs. It doesn't matter at all, but it sure is fun. If you switch it to the left, your LEDs are orange. If you switch it to the right, the LEDs, including the tubes, are green. I find the green looks a lot better in my office with my color scheme, but it sure is fun to have the ability to switch back and forth. Makes no difference whatsoever to the sound quality, but what a fun little extra. Overall, I've been listening to the preamp for a couple of days now, and I will say that it is a bigger, warmer sound than the Fosi, and I can't really articulate it better than that. I read a review that specifically recommended this preamp with the Ortophon 2M Blue cartridge, which is what I'm running on my office stereo. And I agree, it sounds fantastic, and it was not a lot more expensive than the Fosi. Both sounded good, but this is definitely a step up. I love the added features with the bass and treble controls. I love the added line input. And I just love the fun of the colorful LEDs, which don't add anything, but they sure are an intangible benefit that I really appreciate. So in conclusion, do I recommend the Ampapa A1 tube phono preamp? I do. It's a little more expensive than the Fosi, but it's way less expensive than some of the higher end tube phono preamps, which can start at $1,000 in some cases. And this was about $115 on Amazon as I bought this. About twice as expensive, or a little more than twice as expensive as the Fosi was when I bought it, but well worth the improvement. And if you have the budget, this is great. It won't break the bank. It's not the cheapest tube phono preamp, but it is at that sweet spot where the cost is affordable and the sound quality is fantastic. I would definitely recommend you pick this up if you have the chance. And I'll put a link in the YouTube description if you want to check it out at Amazon. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you very soon.